Hello everyone, and today we are going to discuss about the Azure Terrafy. So what exactly is the Azure Terrafy? Azure Terrafy is a tool to help you to add and manage your existing Azure resources in the ISA Terraform tool. You might be aware about the earlier days where we can include the existing Azure resources in state file with the Terraform import option, so that your existing terraform state file get updated with the resources entry, but not the actual code file. But using the Azure Terrafy, it make possible for us. So what exactly it will update your state file, as well as it will update the code also, so that you will be aware about looking into the code, what are the configuration already exist there, and that get recorded into the code file. So topic those are we are going to discuss here the installation. So installation is pretty straightforward. You have to just add the go command to install the Azure Terrafy. We'll discuss about the scenario here. That is more important. As I said, like, consider that someone created the Azure resources in your organization. Maybe he joined earlier to you, or maybe that those resources are from the long time, and you are not aware about what are the settings that are configured. And if you go with Terraform import option, so that only update your Terraform state file, not your code file. So it's very hard to know that, and what are the resources are there, and if I want to duplicate that particular setup, so how we can do it. As of now, it was very hard to go and manually update the code and everything. But using this Azure Terrafy, it's make our life easy, so that whatever the existing resources that already available, that we can duplicate using this tool. So that this tool, what exactly it will it do in background, they work on the Terraform import option. But whatever the efforts the Azure team has put down on this tool to make the code also available for the engineers or the DevOps engineers, who can look into the code, and they can spin up the duplicate resources for that particular setup. Now second part is that preview services. Everyone whoever using the Terraform, they are aware about that. Unless and until Azure provided the general availability for the services, till that time Terraform did not make a module for that particular service. So if you want to be an early adopter for those resources, then we have to do hash and post to add those particular codes written in the another language, and added it in our Terraform deployment, so that we can earlier adopt that particular service. But when that service goes into the GA, then it's very difficult to again remove that hash and polish that we have included, and make it modularize whatever the model those are provided by Terraform provider. But if you look into this particular tool, so this tool in also remove that barrier also, so that you will get this code, and you can update the code according to the settings, so that definitely you will leverage the it's to modify the small part of that particular deployment, and make your life easy. So let's move on to the demo part, rather than as I said, to install this particular things, I already installed this particular tool on my system. But basic requirement for to install this particular tool is the Go language. If you can download it from your VS Code, the plugins for the Go, or else you can download it from the Go page, and install it, so that you can run this particular command. So for installation, you have to type the go install, and the GitHub repo path, so that it can install the Terrafy on your system, and you're easy to use it. So make sure that you can install the first of all the Go, and then you can run this particular command. Now understand what exactly we are going to achieve here. So I do have one resource group with name Jenkins, considering this is the legacy tool, and I don't have, or maybe no, I'm not managing it through the infrastructure as a code Terraform. So, but I want to manage it going forward with this IC tool, or maybe I want to duplicate it the resources with using Terraform. So it has one VM along with the required component. So that we can have the deployment file for this particular using the Terrafy, and we can spin up the resources. So let's move into the VS Code, and we'll do the actual practical. Make sure that once you are on the on your VS Code, you should be logging to your particular account. So that's the one thing. The second thing, you should know that what exactly the resource we are going to know. We are planning to capture it here. So as I said here, we want this Jenkins group, and here on the VS Code we have to note it down with the same name. So this is nothing but, this is what the command AJTFY and Jenkins. Jenkins is nothing but the resource group name. So once you hit enter, it will start analyzing your resources. If you see, it started analyzing the resources, and it will look into that particular resource group, what are the resources available, and it will show you all these resources. If you see here, just make sure that the option, those are mentioned in the downside. The up arrow, down arrow, it will switch in between the resources ID. Then once you started with the exact importing the option, so you have to type W so that it will start working on making those file and everything. So let me now move here. This is what the folder where we are our file is getting created here. If you see that the Terraform, the log file and the provider file is already now included here. So we can validate all our resources. This is what our first resources is showing, that it has the 10 items in this particular configuration, and this is the item number 0. This is the item number 1, that talking about the public IP. Then this is the item number 2, that talking about the virtual network, then the virtual machine, then the rule energy rules and everything. But if you see slightly here on the VM, it's showing that skip, but we don't want to skip anything here. So just just be there on this particular line. It is highlighted with the purple. Just click enter, and what you need to do here, you need to update this particular resource as a module. You have to type the module parameter over there, and that can add it in your configuration. So what you want to write here, you have to just write the what the resource type mentioned on the Azure virtual machine Linux. This is the virtual Linux virtual machine. So that according to the resource module, they have mentioned same way you have to write it down. So in that case, if you come onto the your Terraform module, and if you see the resource for the virtual machine, so this is what, and how we need to configure it. It has this particular resource type. So you just copy this resource type and go on your VS Code, paste it here, and dot test. I am just mentioning the test, and hit enter. Okay, so now if you see here, the skip option is it's vanish, and now it's added in your this particular import. The same way, if you have the another kind of resources, those are going to be skip. You have to make sure in the same pattern to get those resources added in your configuration. Okay, let's move into the another resources so that we can validate if any other resources get skipped or not. So it is also included. I hope rest all the resources are included. Now we are good to go. So I'm just hitting W on my keyboard so that it can start calculating the environment and start writing the code for you. And you can see this particular existing VM folder get updated with all these details. So I'm just hitting the W. If you see that this main.tf file will get included here, and it will write down all the code for you for the existing resources from the Azure. If I click here on the main.tf, it's just calculating the resources, and it will take the time depend on how many resources are available on your resource group, and it can make the file available for you. So I will do one thing. I will pause the video here, and once this particular resource group this particular configuration get created, I will resume the video and I will show you all the file what it captured. So it's almost finishing the initialization and configuration of this file, and it will generate the Terraform configuration for you. So literally there are too many efforts put down from the Azure team to get this tool available, and really it's help all the DevOps guys to create and include all existing resources into the standard tooling available for the organization, that is your Terraform, if it is strategic tool. So guys, this particular your main file is created with all the resources. If you see that resource group and network virtual machine, we have mentioned the name test here for this particular virtual machine. This is also configured, and all the configuration is added over here, so that you can make small changes whatever you want to do in this particular resource group for this particular VM. Or maybe using this configuration you can deploy the another resource in the another resource group that can replicate the exact setup that are configured for the existing resources. So final note here, it is showing that just be aware about that whichever in which folder you are adding this particular resources, make sure that that particular folder should be empty, otherwise it can remove all your content of that particular folder, and it will start analyzing and deploying will create this structure for your Terraform code. So make sure that your folder should be empty. So that's it for this particular session. We'll meet again. Thank you. Bye bye.